think you should.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Whoscussion Whoscussion. We're going to be going over for part B, Phobos, the 8th Doctor and Lucy Miller's adventure on the moon of Mars, and finish it off with Twilight's End, a story featuring the 7th Doctor. So, Phobos. Harry Scully, take us away.
Okay, so we've landed on the moon of Phobos, which is the it is one of the Martian moons, twin moons that Mars has. Phobos and I can't remember the other one, the other son of Mars. He's not important anyway, you know. Anyway, due to the nature of the gravity of Phobos, as it is it's not perfectly round. It's like oddly shaped. It has a interesting gravitational.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty great. That's an actual true fact, but it's also brought up in this. That is the case. The Doctor brings up. Lucy tries to ignore him because he's speaking.
Oh, is that what he's talking about when he's talking about all the sciencey like gravity stuff?
Yeah, that's
I
what
feel bad because I fully was ignoring him too. I was trying to listen to what Lucy was telling the guys.
So he's trying to explain that that's what the deal is. But basically, the deal is that because of this nature, there's a lot of like crazy like stunts people, basically people who like going out for the thrill and stuff because of the low gravity and all that sort of stuff, allows them to do some cool stuff, such as
sick moves, bro.
Yeah, like crazy stunts, like jumping down crazy snowfield stuff, parajumping into spelunking. I guess the jump rope. What's the word? When you
bungee jumping.
Jumping. That's the one. Yeah. Like bungee jumping into like a big hole in the ground, and all that sort of stuff. It's a lot of crazy stuff. So the Doctor and Lucy meet up with two people immediately who have come here to do just that. At least one of them. Can't remember the names off the top of my head. There's a lot of people in the story, so I mixed up a lot of their names. So sorry about that.
Well, the easiest way to do it would be just to say American guy and British guy.
Yeah,
and
the two
alien dude.
The two young men one of them who is totally not really willing to admit that he's gay with the other one. That's basically it. For them, just as Drew and Haid, as I am reading off the Wikipedia. Thanks, Wikipedia. Yes. So
it's in Wikipedia we trust.
Yes, in Wikipedia we trust. Wikia, TARDIS Wikia. We are not supported by them at all. Anyway, so they meet these guys. They basically give some explanation as to what's going on. With that, the Doctor and Lucy are kind of intrigued by this, but not really caring too much. But then they notice that there's these two people down off the mountain. One of them is like sitting there, seems to be like, kind of catatonic, and the other one lying down and not particularly moving too much. They go down.
Must be just in a deep sleep.
Yeah, just a deep sleep. Yeah, they go down to investigate. He's totally dead. She's totally catatonic. They're not having a good time, basically. They go back to the Lunar Park, which is what's the word? The colony there, basically, where most of the people are. They meet up with a couple of people. Amy and Fal. So Amy is a human, and Fal is a Githian, who is a sort of like a half giant man. Think like Hagrid, basically.
Which is so worthless when Lucy says that.
Yeah, Lucy's hug. It's perfect. So they've got a weird dynamic. Githians apparently don't like interbreeding at all, and Amy is pregos with Fal's child. They're having a bit of a time. They've run away. They've come to hide. That's their deal. They also meet up with Iris, who is the unofficial engineer and love interest of an old man named Kai, who is sort of the crazy man of the village who thinks that, apparently thinks that there's Phobosians, so aliens from Phobos, that are killing everybody. Will kill everybody. And basically the doctor, when he arrives, he's totally agreeing with that, because one of the
he's like, that has to be
found,
true. It's the only thing that explains dead guy.
Yeah, he's like, well, he doesn't strictly say aliens. He's just like, this guy was ruthlessly killed in a manner that isn't humanly possible. So something else, not human, killed him, which is true because it was robots that killed him. They find out later on after a whole lot of crazy stuff going down. A whole lot of dialogue basically, but I guess it's an audio story. That's kind of what you get. But it is all really interesting. There's a lot of interpersonal dynamics that are well explored there. I'm just not going to bore you with the details in the summary. And I really do suggest that you listen to this. By the way, it's pretty great.
Yeah, I'll suggest it too.
Yeah. So they go off. Lucy and Amy go off into outside of the dome, and because Amy's running off after Fal is having a bit of a time, not fitting in too well, and it basically tells her that he's going to break up with her because he doesn't want her in trouble, because that's what lovers do. So they run off outside. Lucy is trying to find out all the goss she can find. And
I love how like you're not wrong. That's actually what she's
doing. That's basically what she's in. And like she even her just nonchalantness of the whole deal that she's in. Like she's like, oh, I'm just traveling with the doctor. I'm from the past, by the way. It's pretty crazy just coming into the future. She's a time traveler. And he's just like, all right, fair enough. So they see. I
think that the reason 8 doesn't like rack her on the knuckles for it is because the Time Lords are the ones that put Lucy with them, and he's like, if she causes any issues, you have to fix it.
It's their fault. So it's pretty great. But anyway, so they find they when they're out there, they get some signals on their low distance communicators in their suits, and find some more people who are being killed by a crazy alien looking thing. So lots of arms, pretty crazy. They think immediately it's an alien for us.
I love that description. Many arms, it's crazy.
Yeah, crazy alien things. That's what it is. So everyone else rushes to try and like save them and stuff. The doctor goes out and basically lassos the alien and like smashes it into a rock with a go-kart. It's pretty great. Knocks it out, finds out that it's a robot, and then basically puts it all together, realizes that Kai has totally been manipulating these robots into killing people for a reason he's not too sure about just yet, but he believes it's because he thinks that he thinks that it's simply because he's been trying to scare everybody away, sort of like Scooby-Doo level monster bad guy stuff.
Well, I love how this like fully rage quits the doctor though. The doctor's like, I've really had enough of this being.
Yeah, he really does. It's pretty great. Like he walks in and he's like, if you tell me before he even like starts talking to him, he's like, if the words I don't know what you're talking about get uttered, I'm gonna break something. And then he like says to him, you've been the one controlling the robots killing people. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he just throws something. He's like, I am really done with hearing that. It's pretty great. He's just the 8th Doctor right now is just so not in the mood for anyone. Like he really isn't. But this gets even better later on. But anyway, so he comes out to Kai. Kai overpower him and Lucy because that's what happens. And he gets a robot to drag them out to the wormhole, which is the hole in the ground. The doctor confirms that it's not a natural phenomenon, and it's definitely alien in nature, because it gets revealed at this point. Kai reveals that there's a sleeping god in the bottom of it who feeds on fear. And then everyone else shows up after chasing him down and breaks the Doctor and Lucy free. But it's too late. The Doctor's fear, basically, because the Doctor is, constantly afraid. It's kind of his deal, which I guess is kind of puts into that story that we hate that shouldn't have happened. But anyway,
yeah, yeah,
so
exactly.
One of those many stories. But anyway, so the Phobos, which is the fear god that lives in the whole of Phobos, possesses not Amy, the other one, Eris,
yeah,
Kai's love interest, and basically, starts to gloat about how she's going to change this universe, make it her fair playground. And the Doctor calls her bluff, is like, well, why aren't you doing it then? Come on, get to it. What are you doing? She's like, oh,
I love how that's what he actually says too. Get to it.
Yeah. So he calls her bluff. She's just like, oh, whatever. And the Doctor's like, no, I'm done with you. And he gets the bungee cord on, jumps in the hole, and shows her what real fear is. And then he wins the day, basically. He kills Phobos by over fearing it, basically.
He kills it
real,
dead,
true
man.
fury. Yeah, kills it well dead. Comes back up. It's basically like to Kai, hey, man, no hard feelings. You were trying to actually save people by getting rid of this alien. I came and messed it up. But honestly, you were killing people. I don't know why I'm okay with this, but I'm just leaving. So Doctor and Lucy leave, and that's it. But then right at the very end, sort of post-credit sort of scene, lady gets out of a coma and asks, hey, where's Lucy? And everyone's like, you totally just missed her. And she's just like, are you serious? Come on. I got here before she showed up. And she still leaves before I get to it. God damn.
I love how when she was hired back in Blood of the Daleks, they were like, "You're the best bounty hunter in the known universe," and she's terrible.
Yeah. She's been doing a very terrible job. Yeah,
it's so fantastic.
Almost as bad as Boba Fett, but hey.
Yeah, I love how he's only awesome in the EU. That's so great.
Yeah.
This story, it has some elements that were clearly recycled for Rings of Ahal-10. I mean, Akaten, sorry. Where, the Doctor defeats the monster by just saying, I've done all this stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
it's like, take all these things from me.
What's weird is I liked it way better in this, and it was only an audio thing. And it's not just because, I don't think Who handles stuff very well. I think it's just the Doctor does it almost sort of nonchalantly here. He's just like, you feed on fears, you think you're epic, but guess what? I'm way more dangerous than anything you will ever come across, ever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Rings of of course we'll talk about Rings of Akaten. Have we done did we do Rings of Akaten? I don't think we did.
Remember we started in Series 9.
We started in Series 9. Oh god, we have to do Rings of Akaten.
I don't want to do Rings of Akaten. Can we pretend it never ends?
So the main problem with Rings of Akaten is not that ending, because that's the sort of ending you kind of expect, really, when you're like, we're accumulating in events of some description, doesn't necessarily matter what they are, fear, happy, whatever. If you're fighting an enemy that feeds on anything nondescript like that, anything non-corporeal, then absolutely the Doctor's got it in abundance, because he's the Doctor. That's the deal. So the ending for that is always going to be the Doctor shows up and shows off everybody, unless we've introduced a character that is for some reason older than he is. That's always going to be the ending to that. So I understand that. The problem with Rings of Akaten was all the bull crap that went in between that.
Yeah, it's
and how
really
real nonsensical it was, and didn't really make sense, and was more for Clara than anybody else, and she was a terrible companion in the first place. Yeah. But so with this one, and with Lucy and Phobos, it fits better because Lucy's a proper companion, she's true to herself. The characters that are going on in the background have a lot more interesting things going about them. You know, like some.
I like that they're just
dynamics.
people as well.
Yeah, there's some real people stuff going on. You know, there's a guy who's following his love and his crush around, even though he does crazy stunt stuff just because he's in love with him. You know, there's this couple that are you know, biracial basically, that are running away from their family because they're not allowed to be together. You know, there's a bunch of interesting stuff going on. I mean, I'm not too sure about the story element where they literally forgive Kai at the end. It feels really anime. But
yeah, but I feel like 8 just wanted to get away from the bullcrap.
Yeah, here. He really did. He really just didn't care. But it's sort of just like any other doctor would have thrown a shrinking vial poison on.
Yeah,
you. Like,
7. Oh, imagine 7. 7 would have just pushed him down the wormhole.
Yeah, 7 just would have just taken him with him. When he went to, So yeah, I don't know. I guess 8 is just that he just really didn't care, but it still felt really off to me. But yeah, that's the point. Is that this, as much as this felt like it was it felt like Akaten was recycling this.
Yeah, heavily.
This was better because it not just if they'd recycled this for Akaten, they could have taken a lot more from it, and it would have been way better. They only took one real element from it, and they ruined the rest of it. So I don't understand what the point was there. They might as well have. They should have just done the story again, basically. If you're gonna do that, if you know something's good, don't make it worse.
Well, we're gonna have a lot of fun when we go back over on New Who.
Yes,
that's gonna be great.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Phobos. I definitely recommend it. It's 8 in this is doing all that 8 does, and he's had some times up until now, so you know that he goes full crazy on the fear code.
What I love though is that at the just before the cliffhanger at the end, well, I suppose it's more of a cold close. At the end, Lucy's like, "I'm starting to think you're worse than the monsters."
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, Lucy, you don't even know. You don't even know. Dude, he literally turned into Space Satan. That's a real thing that's taken place in his life before he met you. It's fantastic.
Yeah. He hasn't even had a Time War yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be great. That ending piece as well is just like how when the Doctor just turns vicious, I'm just like, 8 should have been the War Doctor.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll get to that.
We will so get to that. That's going to be great. So with that guy out of the way, guys, again, pick that up. Lucy's Adventures are $5 each. So I would thoroughly suggest this one. Now we're on to Twilight's End. Now Twilight's End, I'm kind of happy I'm the one covering this one, to be honest. Is actually the final chapter in the Twilight saga, and not the bloody book series. But the Twilight arc from the Big Finish range. Now, Big Finish has, I think it's 7 in total, stories talking about the Twilight Project, and the 6th Doctor is the first one to encounter it, and he goes full rage. And this is why I can't wait for us to do the monthly ranges, because 6 and 7 of the monthly ranges, man. Woo! So 6 witnessed the beginning of a project called the Twilight Project, and it was humanity had gotten their hands on the remnants of an old one, and were like, hey, let's introduce this to humans. And so they were manufacturing vampires out of the actual vampires the Time Lords had pushed into extinction. So, so one of them's fallen out of time and just been all like, "Oh, I'm dying. You want to save me? Nah, but we're going to turn your body into science. Thank you." And so the Doctor in this story goes to a facility called the Forge. The Forge appears frequently in the Twilight arc of the Big Finish monthly range, which makes me wonder why this story wasn't actually a monthly range story. I suppose because it was just the end, and it was just the Doctor talking to someone.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was a very dialogue heavy. This one.
Yeah, extremely dialogue heavy. So the Doctor turns up. This is just before the movie. He's traveling by himself, and he's got the sonic screwdriver, and he's full like bitter, like he's proper bitter, and I'm just like, okay, this is just before the film. There is an alternative cover as well, which shows him in his TV movie costume, the Seventh Doctor, so that solidifies that this is definitely just before he's about to regen. It might even be just before 8 meets him in the 8 Doctors, which is just before he regens. So that'd be interesting. But again, he's in the Forge, the facility that was owned by the Doctor at some point. I haven't gone over the entire Twilight arc. I'm really looking forward to when Harriet Skelly and I do, because I've listened to the first story and it's fantastic, and the Sixth Doctor goes full rage, and his companion Evelyn at the time is like, Doctor, why are you going full rage mode right now? It's like, full rage mode because humanity decided to bring back the old ones and we're fully racist towards them. I mean,
because vampires.
You
should see my next incarnation.
Oh yeah, actually, you should see my next incarnation. Seriously. And what's really funny is in Zagreus, I actually become a vampire, which is great. So the Doctor's entered this facility, which is heavily guarded. The Doctor is referenced as Lazarus. Again, I haven't done the entire Twilight arc, so I don't know where this name for the Doctor comes from. But a guard sees the Doctor's TARDIS. It's like, we've got a code Lazarus on our hands, boys. And they decide to hunt down the Doctor because they know he's here. The Doctor turns up, finds out that the computer system Oracle that he wrote has been merged with this guy called Nimrod. And the description for Nimrod is fantastic. The woman who read this, she read our last Seventh Doctor one as well, Beth Chambers. She's fantastic, and I think her performance here for all characters involved is really, really good. Her description, well, it's obviously the description written in the script there, but the way she delivers it sort of adds a little bit of gravitas to the environment. I love how the rooms are given sort of their own world, for lack of a better term, especially when he enters the antechamber with Nimrod in it, and it's described as cathedral in size. And cathedrals are often large, and I just thought of it as this sort of like holy thing that he's sort of dedicated to himself. But the Doctor finds that he's basically a wizened vampire reject, as the Twilight virus actually rejected him, and he's been holding on to life ever since. This guy Nimrod, the Doctor knows, and looking on TARDIS, he's had a few encounters with this individual. And the Doctor and him just talk it out. And the Doctor's like, man...
Well, the Doctor just talks at him more.
Yeah. The Doctor talks at him. He's like, I hate what you are. You could have been awesome, but you're not. And here is the syringe filled with something that will kill you. And he puts it, it's described as inches away from the wizened hand of Nimrod. And the Doctor's like, look, I'm here to give you a way out. I want you to die. But I don't want to kill you myself. Exactly. I don't want to kill you myself, but I want you to die. And the Doctor talks about all the stuff that's come beforehand, the fact that he lost a companion as a result of an encounter with Nimrod. So I can't wait to go over that. That's going to be interesting through the monthly ranges. A companion that's killed because she might be becoming a vampire. I wonder if the Doctor's the one that pulls the trigger. I'm just like, I can imagine it, like, especially if she's a companion of 6. I'm turning into a vampire, Doctor, what are you going to do? Bye, companion! I wonder if that's why Evelyn stops traveling with him. I'm really looking forward to us finally getting to that, because Evelyn is a great companion. Evelyn Smith. And Seven's just talking about just life, basically. So, hey, how you been? Yeah, remember when I was the 6th Doctor? That was a good time. That was a great time. And I love when Nimrod's going through his data bank, because he's part of the computer unit, and he's like, man, I wish 5 was the one talking to me.
Yeah, he actually does. It's pretty great.
He's like, why can't it be 5 or 3? Just
Like
please.
any other doctor, not you.
And I think the reason he doesn't want it to be 7 is because he knows 7's going to come there with the sole intent of killing him.
Yeah,
because he's
Seven
7.
would just like walk in and murder him.
Yeah.
That's 7. Like, in fact, he might come in, trick you into murdering yourself, which he I guess does at the end, really.
He's like, look at you. You're a husk of what you used to be. You're nothing now. And Nimrod's like, man, I'm this big awesome. And he's like, look, you're just strapped to a thing that pumps things into you to keep you alive. And he's like, Doctor, I used to be awesome, man. I miss my sweet legs. I miss being able to walk. I was like, yeah, I know, man. Here's the serum to kill yourself. And I love how the doctor calls it the cure. He's like, it's the cure. And we're like, nah, yeah, it's the cure to being alive, man. Like he'll take it and he'll die. And that's pretty much it. The doctor just leaves.
Yeah.
And leaves them to die. And wow. You have to listen to this one, guys. Like, even though we've given away sort of the premise around it, it's just it's oozing with character. Is the best way I can describe it. What are your thoughts on Twilight's end?
It was interesting. I think it would have made more sense if we'd already done the Twilight stuff.
Yeah,
but it was still the dialogue still like had precedence before it, because obviously vampires and stuff, and he kind of explained what the deal was in his way of speaking as well, so it did make sense.
Remember when you killed my companion? Good times.
Yeah, there would have been a lot more feeling behind it if I'd actually known what was going on.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, it was classic like Seventh Doctor. Like I think if there was just like a bunch of short trips was just the Seventh Doctor like monologuing at villains, like I would really enjoy that.
I would love that.
Yeah, Seventh Doctor's monologues at people are the best. Like he's just the monologuing doctor. Like he is. Like everyone else, like you're just like, oh yeah, they've got good monologues. Like 12's got a great monologue for war and stuff. No. 7 has the best monologues. He does. He just.
And I love how he talks at people, not to them.
Exactly. That's why it's a monologue. Like in all the other doctors, they have like a thing. They'll like try to shut down somebody who's speaking, but the Seventh Doctor doesn't even need to. As he starts talking, people just don't want to talk to him. Like they just don't want to say anything because they know that he'll just like wreck them if they do. Any other doctor just doesn't have that. If they try to start monologuing, if they try to start monologuing, other people are like, hey, I'm gonna get in this, and then, but Seventh Doctor doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to try and stop them. He just monologues. It's
when
amazing.
I talk, everyone stops speaking.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do agree that the story unfortunately relies on you having knowledge before going into this, and I still kind of wish this was more of Sylvester McCoy talking to the guy that played Nimrod. I think this could have really benefited from being in the main range, chiefly because it is 40 minutes as well. It is quite long. I think it could have been maybe the in the main range they've got offshoot stories that sort of happen but just before, like, give context to the main range, like the main chunk of it. They'll have the main range story will have like a sort of like an extra feature that is like a story that takes place immediately before the events of this one, or events that happened to a different Doctor just before this story happens to the next Doctor. So say something happens to 5 that affects 6, or sometimes something happens to 6 that affects 5. And I think this should have been delivered in that format instead of in the single short trip range.
Yeah, it feels like could have been, but I feel like they probably like, this is a short trip because it's a short trip. I feel like they may have like released this with the Twilight stuff. That's probably
maybe. Taskwiki doesn't seem to tell me though. That's a bit annoying, but maybe they did, because this is the end of like a 7-story arc.
Yeah, so it would seem reasonable that was the case.
I'm really looking forward to when we do the Twilight Project though, because like 6 is so ragey in that story, and it's great because 6 is great. Like, the Doctors are all great. except for you, 10. But you know, it's just I don't know. I think it's yeah. It's again, it's not David Tennant's fault. It's just his stories.
Yes.
His stories, and no matter what anybody says, him falling in love with Rose makes no sense. Anyway, with that, guys, we'll catch you next week.
Alrighty.